For me, it's an interesting question, like how art can deal with these social and political issues, in what way, and also how it can open up the dialogue so that other publics and other people can participate in this exchange. I would like to mention, because one of my first independent curatorial projects was Platz Festival, which is a festival for site-specific performance and art in public space. And there, when we started the festival, we had a little subtitle. So it was called Platz, Art That Takes You by Surprise. And I know that this might sound maybe even a bit naive, but I think for us, it was really important to look at this possibility also of interpellation. So how can art interpellate people who are not necessarily looking for art, so to say, or, you know, they're not visiting an institution when they encounter art, but in the case of Platz, we were producing different forms of encounter and interaction within public urban space. For me, it's always very important to work with the context, so to say, also with the different social political issues that are happening around us, that we are, of course, addressing. And in this sense, I'm very interested in addressing them in a relatively grounded, hands-on way. So also through these different collaborations with people who are perhaps also impacted. I've worked a lot with farmers, for example, in rural areas, but also with the different communities like refugees and migrant communities in Austria. And as a researcher, I started a PhD in 2016, which is a PhD in practice in curating, where I'm focusing mostly on post-socialist rural space, and especially on my practice in Hungary, and looking at how, so this is where the collaborative approaches come in, like how we can collaboratively produce knowledge about social change in rural contexts.
What are you actually paying attention there in rural areas in Hungary? What catches your interest?
The experience I had also through my family was that the rural experiences, let's say, realities and also perspectives are generally, I think we can say this generally, are relatively underrepresented in public discourse. So I thought that, okay, but what if we look specifically at rural change, and also how can we do this, like not possessing a great deal of the knowledge that actually we would need to talk about rural change. So that is why, for example, in my research, collaboration is so important with people who are living in rural areas. And maybe this is also something important to mention about my curatorial practice. So whereas I mentioned that in the performing arts field, I work a lot on time-based curating, so with festival formats and showing the work of several artists. Actually, with these collaborative approaches, I tend to work one-on-one with artists. So we develop a specific project, in this case for the Hungarian context, together with the artist, which with Alicia Rogalska is this collaboration called News Medley. And we are also collaborating with others. So we work together with the women's choir from Katalin, which is a small village in Hungary, not so far from Budapest. So for us, this was a very interesting also experiment to bring together contemporary art with, in this case, with the vernacular of folk singing. And News Medley is basically about rewriting the folk songs that the choir sings, the traditional folk songs, to talk about current political situation and current concerns of the choir.